Now look, I think it's very safe to say that 2023 was the absolute worst year for the Walt Disney Company and all of its divisions like Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, Pixar, Walt Disney Animation Studios, just to name a few there, and how leading into 2024 and as we progress to 2025, it is not looking good for Bob Iger and most certainly not for the board of directors out there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, Deadpool and Wolverine is the one Marvel movie that Disney's really banking on right now. They are hoping that this movie's going to make a decent profit at the box office, which, by the way, I do believe it's going to do very well, not because of Disney's shenanigans, but how they tried to pull their shenanigans with Ryan Reynolds, Shawn Levy, the director, Hugh Jackman, and even writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. But they all took a stand against Disney, and they were able to make all these different ultimatums that really took a big impact on those like Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, really causing them to cave, to really backtrack and back away from many of their DEI elements from getting spilled into this movie. Now, focusing on Ryan Reynolds, he took yet another stand at the Walt Disney Company, and specifically at Bob Iger and Kevin Feige, and how it ultimately led to, of course, a series of events that fell into Ryan Reynolds' favor. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, of course, we already know that Disney tried to really enable the reshoots for Deadpool and Wolverine back in May to early June to really kind of fall into their favor with forcing DEI elements into this movie in particular, and it didn't work out for them in the long run. However, when it comes down to, of course, other elements of Deadpool and Wolverine, well, this is where things get interesting, is that with many divisions at the Walt Disney Company already going through endless failures and challenges due to Bob Iger and the Disney Board of Directors with their deliberate agenda, one major development now has much to do with Ryan Reynolds as the ongoing Marvel drama continues behind the scenes, specifically after the back and forth drama for Deadpool and Wolverine caused Bob Iger to back down on many DEI elements, like I talked about before, for the film. However, one crucial update to this entire situation going on right now involves how Reynolds recently took a major stand against the Walt Disney Company and forced them to completely cancel their plans of releasing the deleted footage of gender-swapped Wolverine besting regular Wolverine in a battle, portrayed by Hugh Jackman, in a battle between different universes that was going to serve as one of the original endings of the film. Now, the initial plan by Disney and Marvel Studios was to put this in theaters. However, Reynolds got Bob Iger to back down from doing that after displaying multiple ultimatums and backing out of projects one after the other. However, just recently, Reynolds and director Shawn Levy made more ultimatums against Disney that recently prevented Bob Iger and Kevin Feige from using gender-swapped Wolverine as a major focus for the plans in the Deadpool and Wolverine director's cut. Now, this gender-swapped Wolverine, let me just be very clear, this character in particular was not to be confused with X-23 or Lady Deathstrike, but rather an actual female version of Logan that was going to battle and defeat Wolverine with ease in this movie. This is the one scene that Disney forced Ryan and Shawn to film against their own will that eventually backfired behind the scenes, where now the way Ryan was able to get Disney to back down and lock this scene in the vault forever to never be seen in the light of day is that he was willing to drop out of Avengers Secret Wars and the development of the true third Deadpool film, since Deadpool and Wolverine is not considered Deadpool 3 by name per se. The true third movie is in early development, and both Shawn Levy and Ryan Reynolds gave Disney a serious warning that they were ready to back out of that project unless they are able to edit the director's cut of Deadpool and Wolverine the way that they want to. This could signal that Hugh Jackman's lost scenes in World War I, II, and Vietnam as Wolverine may be included. However, no word on that just yet, since Disney felt that they were way too violent, even for a hard R rating for Marvel. In addition to all of this, gender-swapped Wolverine that went under the codename Wolverina is now officially no longer going to be a part of the director's cut, and Disney's agenda with that character will never be seen to the fans. This also had a lot to do with test screeners having a major problem with that scene in particular to begin with, when a screening took place just back in May that forced Disney to stick to their director's cut plans only, which also now are no longer happening in the long run, all thanks to Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy. Now guys, before I move on about this, let me just say one thing here, is that fans have been waiting for a Deadpool and Wolverine team-up for decades, alright? Fans have really been desperately waiting to see Hugh Jackman in the iconic yellow suit for the first time on screen, and we're finally getting that. So you know what, I'm glad that Ryan, Shawn, Rhett, and Paul, they all took a stand. Hugh Jackman took a stand to not allow any of Disney's shenanigans spilling into this actual movie, let alone, especially for the director's cut, which by the way is going to be very special during the holiday season. Right around Christmas or Thanksgiving time, we're going to be getting something very special with that. They want to expedite a specific, of course, new edition of Deadpool and Wolverine that's going to include tons of new footage, extra scenes, etc., etc. Now, the fact that they were going to double down on a specific scene that was going to basically humiliate Wolverine by getting defeated by his female counterpart, his female version, if you will, codenamed, and I say codenamed, Wolverina, which is loosely based off of that parody comic from many moons ago. I don't know if you guys can recall or remember that. But what's interesting about this, moving onwards, is that they are also planning to insert extra footage, get this, of Henry Cavill playing a surprise cameo in the director's cut. Some of that footage will also be seen in theaters, make no mistake on that. So we talked about how there's been a lot of rumblings going on over at Marvel Studios that Henry Cavill will be portraying a Wolverine variant of some kind in Deadpool and Wolverine, and more of that footage will be spilled into the director's cut as a way to fill in what was lost for, of course, getting rid of the gender-swapped Wolverine character, which honestly is a very good swap as far as I'm concerned. I would much rather have Henry Cavill and his extra scenes getting thrown into the director's cut instead of Disney's shenanigans with their agenda nonsense getting thrown into that actual Blu-ray slash, streaming edition. Now, interestingly enough, again, we know that there's a lot of things going on right now with Ryan Reynolds. We talked about this, that he's not only taking a stand for Deadpool and Wolverine, but he's also trying to fix the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is trying to force Disney and forcing them to cave into a specific scenario where they're going to start backing off on DEI in the MCU. Now, whether or not Ryan, Shawn, and others are going to be able to accomplish that, that's a big mystery as of this moment right now, but there is pushback. There is pushback coming from a lot of creators, starting off with Ryan and Shawn really taking a stand and defending the MCU. That's why, by the way, Shawn got a film offer. I don't know if you guys know about that, but he is in the talks to create his own Marvel movie, but he does not want any DEI nonsense getting thrown in there. So overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about what's been going on at the Walt Disney Company, at Marvel Studios, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.